We're going to have a chat, a discussion about sponsoring girls while I show you around Big Brother at Pratamnak. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I've done a sponsors part 3 because quite a lot of you seem to enjoy the stories, and obviously you know the truth because I was personally involved in some way or another in every single story I'm going to tell you. So they are 100% true. For any of you who didn't see part 1 or 2, basically sponsorship or sponsoring a Thai girl is when you come to Thailand, you meet the girl, you fall for her, and you go home and decide to support her, and so she doesn't have to work in a bar or wherever she was working before, and you just look after her and send her money every month. That's what sponsorship is. Okay, now before we start, as always, please let me remind you to subscribe and like and share and ring the notification bell, and you can go to the link below in the description box and buy me a coffee if you like. So let's get on with the first story. This is about an American guy in his mid-50s, and he came to Thailand on holiday, second or third time, had been before, and met a girl who was 25 at the time and very pretty, about an 8 plus. And she worked in a coffee shop. She didn't work in a bar or anything like that. She worked in a coffee shop, which was up near Big C North, just in that area around there. And they met, and he asked her to go out, and they started a relationship. She started staying in his hotel, and everything was fine. He fell for her, really fell for her. So then when he went home to the States, he decided that he would help her out, because she said one of the things that she wanted was to build a house for her mother and her son. She had a small son, about 3 years old, 4 years old, something like that. And she'd only gone to Pattaya to work there to support the child and her mother, and she'd been there about a year. And she said that she'd never ever worked in a bar or anything like that, but she obviously used to take customers occasionally that she liked from the coffee shop in the evening after she finished work. Well, he was aware of that, but that was okay because she wasn't really a bar girl. Anyway, it was only a few weeks before he came back from the States, after having kept in touch with the girl, every few days while he was away. And then he'd come back and he had a couple of months. So again, they had a great time. He took her out of the coffee shop and paid the owner something for her, and took her to Wahen and took her to various places, and they had a great time together for a couple of months. And obviously he was providing some money for the family and everything, and everything was fine. So then that 2 months came to an end, and he went back to the States, and she went back to the coffee shop. So while he was in the States, she was saying to him, I really, really want to buy a house, or build a house rather, but build a house is what she wanted to do, because her mother had a small farm and some land, and only a little sort of cinder block, concrete block shack, horrible little thing, apparently, is where she and their son lived. And she wanted to build a house, some sort of a house on the land. And would he help? So he said yes. He was quite well off. He said yes. And he started sending money. And she went home. She went up to Isan and started getting the land prepared. The land where she wanted to build the house needed to be cleared a little bit, and then wanted earth bringing him on top, and then they started to. She said she wanted an Isan style house, which is a stilt house on stilts. But these days they build them on concrete stilts, not on wooden stilts. They last longer if they're going to build that style of house, which is unusual, but that's what she wanted. So anyway, she ordered all the concrete stilts. There was about 8 of them, and they came, and then she got some guys to come and put the stilts in, build everything, and they started building the house. And she used to send videos and photographs to the American guy regularly, showing how they were progressing. And then they put the framework for the base of the house up on, and started putting the timber work up, and everything like that. And everything was fine. It was looking good. All the framework was up, and then the sides were put up, and the roof framework was up. And then the next thing was they wanted an aluminium roof, which again he was sending money regularly for all this. And the aluminium roof came, and they put the roofers put the roof on, and they put the flooring in, and the walls on, and everything was looking good. So the house was coming together very well. And that was after maybe a 2 or 3 months, and then the guy came back. So when he came back, he said to her, "Let's go and have a look at the house." And she said, "Yeah, great, we'll go." So he rented a car, and drove up to Isan, and went to meet the mother for the first time, meet the son for the first time, and came and pulled up outside the little cinder house, which was the shack they were living in. And then just to the left behind that, there was this new house which was being built, and it looked great. He was happy with it. It looked excellent. It looked really, really like a decent size, and it looked really good. And he was really pleased with himself that he'd helped her so much. And anyway, he then went back to Pattaya, back to the States, and that was that for the time being. So she went back to working in the coffee shop, and he went back to the States, and he continued to send her money for various things, and everything was great. Then, after another couple of months, he came back, as arranged, with her. And again, he said, "Let's go and see how the house is going on." And she said, "Oh, we don't have to go now. We can have some time in a little bit of a holiday and what have you." But he said, "No, let's go and have a look." So he got a car, drove up all the way to Isan again, the two of them, pulled up outside the front of the cinder block shack, and walked around the back, and the house was gone. There was nothing but earth there. Everything was gone that he'd seen before. The house, the roof, the concrete posts, everything was gone. And the girl feigned surprise and everything, but it turns out that the mother had a gambling problem. And basically, as soon as they had left and he'd gone, she sold the house. She just sold the house, and people came and took it all down and took it away, and she paid off her gambling debt. And because obviously you can't separate the girl from her mother, the mother was the problem, he had to then finish with the girl. And that's what happened. Unbelievable, isn't it? Actually sold the house, and it was gone. That's a cracker, that one is. The next one's good as well. Let me tell you the next one. This is about a not too old, only early 40s Swedish guy, and a 24-year-old go-go dancer from Walking Street, who came from Buriram, actually. Anyway, she was pretty, but that wasn't really the draw. The draw was the figure. The figure was sensational, really sensational, and probably one of the best you would ever have seen in your life, really. And anyway, they started going out and everything, and he was staying for a few weeks, and they got on very, very well. And then he went home. Before he went home, she could see what was going to happen. She could see he was going to start sponsoring her because of the way things were going. So she's told him that she had a half share, 50% share, in a hairdressing shop on just off Macau. So she had to sort of take care of that to a degree. And that was thinking ahead, very clever from her point of view. Anyway, he went home and started sponsoring her, and he asked her to stop dancing, and she said, "Well, I can do, but I can't leave Pattaya because I have to take care of my shop, my 50% of my shop. So I have to stay here. But what I can do is I can work outside as an outside girl to draw people in, to work actually on the street outside and draw people in." That was the idea. So she wouldn't be dancing and she wouldn't be going with customers, is what she was saying, but she couldn't leave Pattaya because of her shop. In fact, the shop was a complete fantasy. It was a friend's shop, and she had nothing to do with the shop. She just said that so that she would have an excuse to stay in Pattaya. So she continued working in the same go-go bar on Walking Street, but not as a promotion girl outside. She continued dancing, and she continued to take customers. But she said that it has to be short time only. You can't have any long time. So she said she would finish at 3 o'clock. But if she took a customer earlier, then she would need to be finished and out of the room by about 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, because she used to tell her boyfriend she would, after work finished at 3, she'd go with her friends, go eating everything, then go back to her place, and she'd call him or he'd call her about 5 in the morning, which was fine because she was all finished and done and everything by then, and she would in fact be back in her room at 5. But the guy had no idea what she'd been doing. He thought she'd been working as a promotion girl outside till 3 in the morning, then gone eating, but in fact that was not the case many times. But the girl got 3 or 4 regular customers who knew the score about the boyfriend, the sponsor and everything, and they wanted her to stay all night. And basically what she did was with those ones who knew the score, she would stay the night, and then she would then go into the bathroom, switch the light off when she got to the guy's room about after work, and speak to her boyfriend in the dark, saying that her friends who she shared the room with were asleep and she didn't want to put the light on, so she just had the dim light of the phone, and she'd do that and then come out of the bathroom directly into the arms of one of her regulars, and they just kept quiet because it suited them, didn't it, obviously, and let her get on with it. So this went on for probably about 3 years or something like that, and eventually the Swedish guy said that he wanted her to come to Sweden, and she did do. She stayed for 3 months in Sweden, then came back to Pattaya. Then again she did the same again 3 months later, and in the end the guy said, okay, how about we get married? So he came over to Thailand and they got married, and he took her back to Sweden and got married again in Sweden, and she now lives in Sweden. So that's a happily ever after job as far as I know. Anyway guys, please tell me if you like the stories, if you want more or not, and please subscribe and like and share and ring the bell, and thank you for watching. Okay.